We're back. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Oh, hey. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
How's everyone out there?
How are you this evening? Happy Tuesday to you.
It's a great day in the neighborhood.
It is. You want to sing that song?
No?
Okay. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody, for an all-new episode of Beyond 2D. I am one half of Beyond 2D, Jessica Dugas, and this is my lovely co-host here.
I am the other half of the 2D Beyond. Farron, Dozier, retired Army Sergeant First Class.
So glad that you guys are here with us this evening as we continue our series on perseverance. We made the executive decision. We started out this series talking about the word resilience and how that shows up in our lives. And we made the executive decision last week because we are the bosses. Hello. To change to the word perseverance. So we're going to talk a little bit about why and the definition of, but also talking specifically about perseverance in the face of adversity, which I think that's what gets us through. That's, so we're gonna talk about that this evening, and I'm excited. Are you excited for tonight's talk, Farron?
I'm actually I was thinking about perseverance, and yeah, so I'm prepared because what you think we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies, because I don't know where my fellas is at.
Listen, fellas, you're dropping the ball out there.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
You're dropping the ball. Dropping the ball. We need you to show up. Brittany needs you to go ahead and sing that song for us, Farron. So that's we'll be starting up.
Me. The big small. No, I'm good.
I don't know what just happened to this show. I have no idea. Try to be we try to be serious on the show, but sometimes we just act up, and it is what it is.
This is where we get to express myself at. So I'm home right now.
That's it. That's it. I appreciate that. I keep sharing. Listen, Brittany said she keeps sharing to the fellas. She can't help if they don't show up. Show up, fellas.
Something.
Brittany said it, show
Thank
up.
You.
That's it. That's all you have to do. So listen, we as I said, we started out by talking about resilience, and we determined that resilience is the ability of a person to adjust and recover. But that buoyancy, we learned a new word about resilience, and we ultimately determined, I think, for both of us, that resilience means to bounce back. And I think where we're at this point in society right now, we need to be moving forward, not bouncing back. We don't need any help bouncing back. And all of the ruckus on social media and with the politics right now, and all of that tells me that we don't need to be bouncing back. We need to be moving forward. And so we chose the word perseverance instead of resilience. And so I guess we can kick it. Should we start off with how would you like to start? You want to?
Yeah, let's go to the definition, because we got 2 episodes of this, right? We got this one, and we got let's knock this one out.
Here we go. All right. Steady persistence in a course of action, a purpose, a state, in other words, who you be being. Especially in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement, or as I like to say, in honor of the difficulties, obstacles, and discouragement. Because to me, if I'm choosing to persevere, it's an honor of the challenges. It's an honor of the struggles. Like That's my own little piece that I'm throwing in there. How do you feel about that definition? Do you feel better about perseverance than you did about resilience?
I feel 10 times better about perseverance than resilience. Um, who I am today definitely fits perseverance because that is a word comes out of the Bible, right? That gives us a way to be the steadfastness, the all the pushing through, the faith that it takes to have the experience of perseverance. So yes, perseverance gives me strength, it gives me power, it gives me freedom, because as we get into this episode today, from my perspective, it's way before perseverance. We gotta deal. We gotta go to the rabbit hole, and
Mm,
you got to dive in one of those rabbit holes. Pick one. Pick a rabbit hole to dive in today, because in order to experience perseverance as the end result, there's a lot of stuff that's what's in the way,
right.
right? If I'm doing what I want to do in life, and I'm up to, and I'm being who I want to be, then where is the perseverance required at?
Mm,
So
interesting.
that happens, there's some experience that we get that says, "Oh, this is tough. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I handle it." And then now we go to that inner being of, "Okay, well, what's wrong with me?"
Mm,
So that's the part I want to talk about from my perspective
yeah.
today. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can talk perseverance and see the definition and find out how you experience that for yourself. But then, what's in the way of experiencing the
Right.
perseverance? That's
Right.
where
And I'm glad that you mentioned, that it comes up biblically for you as well, because the second definition in the
I'm at.
dictionary also has to do with theology. And it says continuance in a
Oh.
state of grace to the end, leading to eternal salvation. That's what it means
Mm,
biblically. So,
yeah.
for those of you that were like, what's Farron talking about? It's not a Bible word. It actually is, according to
It
dictionary.
is.
So, so there's that as well. Um,
And
and
and that's because if you are concerned about your eternal life, right?
mm,
There's ways of being, and there's behaviors that you've got to shift. You can't be an angry person and treat people kindly and treat yourself angry and then want to have eternal life, right? So there's a way of being that you have to be for that perseverance in those difficult times. And a lot of times it's toward people, because it's
well,
now deal with the
yeah,
heart of the
I
man.
want to just be angry.
Well, you can. There's not the angry is not a bad thing, but when you put that anger on somebody else,
Yeah.
then it's a different conversation, and that's where the accountability, all the other words that we talk about. What you say? What?
Why not?
You keep that. I want you to ask me that question when the show is over.
It's true. Like, it's interesting though. In talking about perseverance, but not perseverance directly, when I'm speaking to someone, and I'll just keep it 100 and talk about myself right now. So when I'm speaking to myself
Mhm.
about, persevering through something, continuing to go, steady persistence, making the choice to move forward, sometimes it comes up, well, I just want to dig my heels in so hard, and I just want to be angry, or I want to be sad, or I want to be whatever it is,
Mhm.
because speaking of honoring something, we've tricked ourselves into believing what we hear, that certain emotions and reactions are
Mhm.
required for
Mhm.
certain things that happen in life. For
Ex-
example, someone dies, you're supposed to cry.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be sad. You're supposed to be all these things. We've tricked ourselves into believing that when certain things happen, we're supposed to be a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we dig our heels in, and we hesitate moving forward, I think.
Yeah. We're taught that.
Yeah.
Again, our environment teaches us, oh, what is that you're feeling over there? Oh, that's what this is. That's
Yeah.
failure. Oh, that's sadness. And so we've been taught that, and it goes back to the experience.
Mm,
For me, in the Beyond 2D
yeah.
is the experience. We discount the human experience so much that I just want you to do the action, and I don't want to pay attention to how I feel about the action, because I'm already disappointed. So I don't want. I want to
Mm,
feel that. So just do what you're gonna do. Just do it. But no, you when it comes to self-examination, you can't just do it like that. You've got to pay attention to your experience, and a lot of these words that we've been using from day one all lead back to who you're being. We think it's a doing action word, but some words are action words that you have to experience to actually experience the word, the definition of that word. You have to experience it to do it, and then that's what that is.
Yeah.
And so perseverance is one of those words that our experiences is at least 70% of that perseverance is my experience of myself.
Right. I want to go back to the state of being, who you're being, and start off with maybe a more difficult question, and maybe we'll have to like marinate on it for a little while and come back to it. So we'll see. But do you feel like there are certain I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Are there certain people that you feel like are more prone to the ability to persevere? Do you feel like it's something somebody's born with, like it's just like they're that's just how they are, or how they're raised, or like what is it? Because it's a similar question to people that have been on the Breakthrough Show, and I've asked people before, like, okay, say you have you in this situation and you've broken through, you've gotten through these trials that you've gone through, but other people, I know so many people in that similar situation that have not. Like, what is that thing that makes someone persevere?
See, this is where we get to start. I don't think anybody escapes it. I think because of, like you said, when I get disappointed in something of myself, I'm not talking about being disappointed in you as other people. Right. I'm talking about the perseverance that comes from within us. A lot of times is thwarted from a disappointment, an upset, an expectation that didn't happen. Right off the top, it's already hard for me to honor my word to myself. So if I can't honor my own word to Farron, then how can I experience perseverance? Yeah. This is the rabbit hole. This is the first rabbit hole I'm asking people to look at. If I can't honor myself, my word to myself, and if you out there listening, tell the truth to yourself. Do you honor your word do you have integrity to your own word to yourself? A lot of times we're going to say no. So if that's the case, that I am already challenged in honoring my word to Farron, how am I going to experience perseverance? Because I'm not even keeping my own word to the stuff for myself that I want to do in life, that I say I want to be up to in life. So then it goes back to me in the mirror. Yeah. And to me, when I was praying about this show, I'm telling you, I went into this show like, what is it? Like you said, what is that thing? And I learned that the number one thing is it is difficult for human beings to keep their word to themselves first.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I 100% I'm with you on that. And it's interesting because Brittany said a drive within yourself. I've also examined that drive within myself. I called it determinate. That used to be the old name of my business was Just Determined. Like determined. Yes. That was something I recognized within myself. But then I asked myself, okay, where did that determination come from though?
Thank you.
I sort of saw determination in my grandparents. I sort of saw it in my dad. Like, I've seen it in my mom on different occasions. Like you could sit here and argue and go, well, maybe I saw it and I taught myself to be like that or something. But I also recognize what you're talking about. Like some of there's part of me that, my husband's watching, he will agree. There's part of me that's like a little bit stubborn.
That's a little bit. That's a little bit.
So just okay. So when I go through something, I get and I've explained this 50 times this week. I feel like it keeps coming up. I am really good at putting the blinders on and going. Like just go. When now, Brittany, listen to me right now.
A little. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you. All it takes is a little.
Sometimes that can be a not a good thing, because it does mean that there are times when I dig my heels in. But that being said, it can also be really good, and I celebrate this in myself, because when I want something, when I say I'm going to do something, when I'm ready to push forward and persevere, I put the blinders on and go, regardless of anyone or anything else. I just go. I could be knocked down 50 times, but I'm still going to do it. And so it's interesting.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, it could be impactful in other areas of your life when you put those blinders on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the other side. And sometimes we don't want to look at the other side of that.
100%. 100%. You have to know that when you get hyper focused, when you put blinders on, there's other things that you can't see. You can't. I have been quoted before in the past as saying multitasking is a lie.
Yeah.
Now I am I say this as the ultimate multitasker over here with 6 kids and a business and a husband and all of this stuff. But I also recognize that I can't sit here and lie to anybody and say that me being able to focus on different things or put those blinders on, that doesn't mean that there's not things that fall by the wayside.
Right.
Because it's almost like it's an act of survival. Like, it's like, I'm going.
Yes. And that's at the end of the day, for human beings, we are naturally survivors, but we want to live life. We want to experience freedom and perseverance and be able to push through that circumstance when it comes up. We want to be that naturally. But the battle between the heart of man and the spirit that's the battle. I want to do this and be free and take this on, but my mind's like, nah, bro, remember last time we did that? We don't want to feel that pain. Remember we were doing that disappointment that we felt? And I'm talking to myself with my mouth closed, like, do we want to feel like that? Nah, I don't know. Okay, so then we're not going to do that. We're going to try something different, but it's going to be the same result because I'm pretending.
Right.
And I'm still carrying that disappointment, so I don't feel that. So I'm always checking for the disappointment. So it's like, how are you living life in an experience like that? Yeah. And that's why I said, if you're truly honoring my word, if I'm honoring my word to myself and I have integrity, I'm being accountable and I'm being responsible, then what is there for me to have to persevere when I'm taking action? And like you said, if I get knocked down, okay, then why didn't I finish that? Oh, you know what? You was watching Netflix for 2 hours when you should have been over here making phone calls or checking this and that. So then I could tell the truth to myself, like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I could see I got to cut out that Netflix for a while and schedule that and make sure that I focus on this. And to me, that's the freedom that we want. That's ultimately, that's the end of the day. That's the freedom we want, is to just be able to live and take on life and take actions and be the guy on the court taking the shots. And if I miss that shot, guess what? Okay, I'm gonna go big on defense, and if I get the ball, I'm gonna take that shot again. I'm not gonna say, coach, take me out and put me on the bench because I missed the shot. But the experience of that, Jessica, that is what I want people to walk away from today's episode, is when you go down that rabbit hole of perseverance, what threatened that perseverance in the beginning anyway? There's something that happened. There's some experience. There's some pretense that I got to be this kind of person now to persevere this kind of situation because I failed at it or it didn't feel good. Like all these descriptive context words that we use to describe it when we don't just say exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of pieces to this, I think. And I kind of, if we can just take a side road for just a moment, because we talk a lot about on this show, awareness, recognizing within yourself, getting to that point where you what happened up until you wanted to persevere, whatever it is. And I sort of want to because I think sometimes the challenge is what comes before the choice to persevere, and that is that awareness that we're talking about, the want to make a different choice, the want to see things differently. How do we get to that point is the
Yeah,
I
because
wrote.
for me, all I'm looking at all those layers that's in the way of the perseverance. I got to go back to, like I said, what is my core issue about Farron? If I don't honor my word to myself, and that means I'm not going to honor my word to other people completely, right? So then there's my integrity issue. So then now I got to deal with myself, and I really believe that not purposely, but in our environments, we kill off our child's self-love, the self-esteem, the self-affirmation, the self-worth. All that is connected to the perseverance experience. But at some point we grew up and I could tell my mom, for I don't know what it was, but for some reason you can't say that, Farron. You can't say that I'm proud. You can't say I got this, I did this. You can't say it because you're gonna make other people feel bad about themselves. And so now you kill off my own ability to have some because we need pride. We need a level of self-pride. But I believe that our environments kill off early on as a child, we kill that. Oh, you can't be like that no more because you're gonna make people feel bad. And so I can't be proud of myself no more. So then there goes my self-esteem, there goes my self-worth, there goes my self-value, there goes my self-affirmation, my self-love. And then what do I do with all of that? Oh, I gotta pretend like everything. I gotta pretend that I don't have self-love.
Right.
And I believe that's, to me, that is another core layer is we gotta reestablish our self-love, our self-esteem within myself, not from some book, not from some motivational speaker. Like I gotta reestablish that for myself. And when I finally this was only a couple of years ago that I got back to what is it for my self-love. I'm like, man, I love myself. And I don't love myself 100%. I'm not going to act like I'm in love with myself. No, there's 20% of myself that I don't like about myself, that I don't love, that because of my behavior, right? So then it goes back to the things that I don't like about myself because of my behavior. Now I got to work on that stuff. But that 80% that I love myself, I can pull from that. And then I recognize it. So now that I love myself, I can love you. Because I'm aware of the 20% that I don't like about myself. I'm not going to project that 20% on you that I don't like, because I'm making sure that whatever you say to me about me, are you pointing to that 20% that I don't like about myself? And you can't say that. You can't point that out. You can't tell me that. What do you mean? How do you know I don't like myself in that area? Like, so all of that is going on in our mind, but yet we want to persevere when circumstances happen. We want to persevere when we want to have all these experiences, but we're in the way of our own experience of that perseverance. It's not the circumstance. It's not the person.
Yeah.
But it's so many layers. It's beyond 2D that you got to be able to step out of the 2 dimensions and find out where is that coming from.
Yeah.
And that's why some of us, we go to the Bible because the Bible is about principles, and we use those principles to gauge my life up against. And guess what? It gives me strength to look at that word and say, oh, God says be perseverance. What does he say I have to do to be? Oh, it's way better than what Farron got, because what Farron got about perseverance is all corrupted. It's all bad. And I had to really, truly get back to how much do I love myself? And I could tell you I love myself about 80 to 90% of the time. And that gives me the perseverance to push through the circumstances and the concerns and the worries and live.
Yeah.
Not just survive life anymore. And I believe, Jessica, that's what people want at the end of the day. How can I make it through today, man? How can I make it through today? What tools can I use to make it through this circumstance? And a lot of times we don't realize it's not what you do in that circumstance, it's who you be first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be something there, and like, to create the willingness, and I think the willingness does
Yes.
come from a place of.
I love you so much.
We on the same page tonight? Are we on the
Yes.
same page tonight?
Because
Yay!
it is the willingness. You
Yeah.
said it. It is. You got to be willing to look at yourself and self-examine yourself,
Right.
and find out where, hey, not just the good stuff, but you got to
Right.
look and see where your
And
weaknesses are.
it's hard to be willing if you don't respect yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself,
Keep your word to yourself. All
of that. It's very hard to be willing. Like, it makes the willingness harder than it really has to be. Like, and so then the perseverance, because the willingness is hard, the perseverance is hard, and it makes the whole situation harder.
So we're pretending we put on the perseverance label. So I'm pretending I got perseverance, but I'm suffering in silence at the end of the night anyway.
Yeah.
But I put on this perseverance, this resilience attitude in front of everybody. Oh man, Farron, you look at them. He's a go-getter and he's got the blinders on. And then I go home and I'm by myself and I'm like, what the heck am I doing, y'all?
Yeah.
Like, that's not real life. Like, that's pretending like I got it all figured out and I'm resilient and I got perseverance, but my heart is wounded.
You got to go back. We got to go back to we got to go back to examine
the rabbit holes. You say the rabbit holes. We need to do a show on rabbit holes.
Oh Jesus, that's an entire, like, probably 10 seasons in a row.
Hey, we're gonna do rabbit holes.
I love it. All right, listen, we're going to take a super quick break and we're going to come back talking more about perseverance. Now, say we've examined ourselves, we have the willingness. What are some of the things we can do to persevere? We're going to talk about a lot of things when we come back from the break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
Are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
On April 4th, I was 90 years old, grandson of slaves. My parents were first generation free. A long time ago, I embraced the definition of love. Love is the experience of well-being. And a friend is one who mutually shares that experience of well-being with you, which opens up almost infinite creative possibilities.
Welcome back to Beyond 2D. I'm Jessica Dugas. This is Farron, Dozier, and we are talking about perseverance in the face of adversity as part of our, which once was resilience, was perseverance series because we switched it in the middle. So that's great.
You know how I'm looking at the commercials that we have for us, and then I see Caldwell's face come up, and he's 90 years old. I've been working with him for the last 6 years, almost 7 years. And I'm thinking about how much resilience or perseverance I'm going to need when he's not here on this planet anymore. Like, we know he's on borrowed time, and we know we're pushing that education to get back in so he could see it one more time before he's gone. But
yeah,
that perseverance that's going to take for me to be okay when he's not gonna be able to pick up my phone call anymore.
See, and I was thinking about, from his perspective, how much resilience and perseverance he's had to muster in the last 90 years with the things that he's been through as well.
Yes.
And also, like, I know I can tell from him that what he teaches, he embodies himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know to be fact that he has had to do that work of awareness and being willing, and some of these things that we're talking about tonight as well. But I feel that too. I really when part of your perseverance lies in the hands of someone else, that's something to examine too. I really struggled when my grandmother passed away for that reason, because so much of just getting by, I relied on her to just call 50 times a day and ask stupid questions about life. You know, little things like that. And so I feel like that's another really great rabbit hole to examine for yourself is, does your being perseverance or resilient even lie in the hands of someone else?
Yeah. And a great percentage of us would probably say yes. And the other percentage would say it's going to lie in the job that I have, because my identity is now attached to that job. Right. Yeah. So now, and this, like I said, this episode is so important because it's all going to go back to you. And as you said, the willingness to take a look and see, why do I need to persevere through this when I should just be able to just live life and take it on?
Yeah.
And find peace in the world and find peace. And if I don't want to do that job anymore, then it takes confidence and courage to say, hey, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to be about this no more. And be responsible for what comes with that.
You get a really solid look at how many people, at least in the United States, rely on someone else to persevere close to election season. I'm just let's just put that on the table. I mean, it's a very similar conversation to freedom as well. Are you dependent on someone else for you to feel a sense of freedom? And so I think that's a great examining point again to take a look at, where does your perseverance lie? Is it here or is it somewhere else? Who has it?
And that's why happiness is connected to circumstances, right? And so if your happiness is all in your circumstances, then where's your joy at? Where's your look? She said, "Ma'am."
I'm laying it out there tonight. I'm just doing it. I'm just because it's true. It's true. Like, I see people all over the country right now getting so riled up about one person or the other. And it's like, when are you going to take responsibility for yourself and what you want to experience? Truly, like, I've had enough, people. Okay. But I want to talk about, because we talked about, examining ourselves, and now I'm asking the question about, where does your perseverance lie, and all. So say we examine all of that. I want to touch on the adversity part, because we all go through stuff. We all go through stuff. Everybody has been presented with one challenge or another, maybe several in our lives, sometimes back to back. You know, you know what? If you know, you know.
Until we leave the planet, there will always be some test or trial.
That's it. And
always.
Perseverance often comes in the face of adversity, the ability to push forward through challenges, and it can help us. I think we do have to have a good picture of where we want to go, because we talked about that. The difference: resilience is bouncing back, perseverance is moving forward. So where are you trying to get to? I think having a picture of that is a good thing. And so have you had a situation where you've been presented with a challenge and you're persevering and you're pushing forward, you're moving forward, you've made the choice, you're clear about what you want, and it's just not working out?
Yeah.
What point, if you throw in the towel, is that still persevering?
Yes. Because you have to tell the truth to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So let's peel off a layer, which is, okay, so then what is failure? Because that's what most people label when you quit or you walk away from something that you don't bounce back from. So then is it failure? So then what's failure? Failure to me is doing what you don't want to do and doing it anyway. So if I'm living from that new philosophy of how I think about failure, then I have to now examine myself and say, what am I doing that I don't want to do? And I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I really don't want to do it, because if I wanted to do it, then I would be taking the steps and the actions. And yet I'm going to feel like, you know what, this is hard. Like, then I got to figure out a plan. If I don't want to do that work, then I got to go find somebody to do the work for me and hire them and let them do that work. But I'm still going to be pushing through to get this thing accomplished. But if I'm doing it and I don't want to do it anyway, then I'm not going to have the joy. I'm not going to have the fulfillment. I'm not going to enjoy. I'm not going to have all that stuff because I don't want to do it anyway.
Right.
And it goes back. Yeah, we got feelings and emotions. So some of those feelings and emotions, you have to be able to understand where they're coming from and be responsible for those feelings and emotions and articulate that feeling and emotions to the best word that you can describe to say how you feel, versus just saying, I'm struggling, I got problems, it's hard. What am I saying when it's hard?
Right.
I can't get any help if I'm just saying it's hard. But if I say, hey, I need somebody to help me take care of A, B, C, and D, then guess what? I can go and find somebody, persevere through that situation and find some support and get help and move that project forward. But if I'm just going to sit back and say, oh, it's hard, this is hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard. Mine's is hard too. Yeah. So now we agree that life is hard, but then no one is getting any kind of support to move forward, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I got to bounce back.
That inner dialogue, the words that we use and the meaning that we give those words, I think are three things that are like key in this conversation. Because even like I was having a conversation with Brittany one day and she said something, and I can't remember exactly what we were talking about. I mean, I know the context, but I don't remember the exact words that were used. But she said a phrase and I was like, we have to take that phrase off the table right now because I recognized, to talk about awareness, I recognized that I had attached a kind of meaning to that phrase that was not serving me right now. And I was like, we're going to take that phrase off the table until I'm in a place where I can receive that a little bit better. And so, and I think that that's really been key for me, is not necessarily beating myself up over the reactions that I've had, but just recognizing and going, okay, I'm not in a place where I can have this conversation right now. Let's just hang on and box it up in a pretty little package, and we'll revisit it when I can do that. And it was so funny as well. You're talking about failure. I wrote down, in the process of perseverance, failure is inevitable, but it's also a teacher. Failure doesn't mean you stop. It means you learn. Right. And so like, again, we've talked about this before, and it brings me back to season 1 of the Breakthrough Show when we had Miha Matlievsky on the show, who is a fail coach that was helping people to reframe, this idea that failure means your whole life is over. That's all it is your best teacher. Like, okay, we weren't doing that again. Move on. Next, talk about perseverance.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all connected. And again, I agree with you on how you're saying if there's a conversation that you're having with someone and the choice of words show up and I get a particular meaning to that word, then I'm going to react to that word, and it could change our whole conversation. Right. And we start dealing with that word that you said, and then not how do we fulfill and move this conversation forward. Right. And so even in my current landmark class around creativity, the first 3 sessions is about recognizing when you react to life. And I'm like, I react to life so much it's not even funny how much I react to life.
It's so fun.
Facial expressions, all of it. And when I started paying attention, it's like, that's the automatic machine.
Yeah.
That's automatic. It's automatic. We react. It's a survival skill. We have to have reactions, but when it comes up against other people, that's where it doesn't work, because I can't just react to you based about what you just said to me. I need to be able to listen to what do you mean by that? Where's that coming from? Is that a good word today? Let's play a game and find another word that we can use to describe so that we can agree on.
We may have done that on the show before.
I think we have. I think we have. And it moved our conversation forward.
Yeah.
Right? So all of this stuff is the precursor or the prerequisite to being able to, okay, guess what? This is where I'm at. I'm dealing with this. I got these kind of issues, these circumstances. Who do I need to become to persevere through this conversation? And that's why that Beyond 2D for this episode for me is what philosophy, what principles, what you trust in life. Is it Maslow's hierarchy? Is it a mental health program? Is it a AA class? What are you using to gauge your life up against outside of myself? And those are the tools that you would apply to your life that would give you the experience of persevering through those circumstances. So I believe you have to know what your philosophy is. If you live by these, I live by these 3: ideology, philosophy, and theology. And ultimately, my theology is what I'm using to lead my life, because I'm a spirit being. So if I'm saying that my heart is no longer going to control my life or guide me, I'm not going to let my subconscious mind guide my reactions and emotions and feelings, then what am I going to use? I'm going to use my spirit being, and I'm going to connect that to what I believe gives my spirit the principles and the guidelines to live from. And that's what I'm going to live from. So I'm not going to react to you anymore. I'm going to say, oh, okay, hold on. What did God say? What does the Bible say about how I should behave right now? What is my AA class? What does the mental health class say that I taught? Say how should I behave? And the more you practice those things outside of you that you trust now, that you believe in, you're going to alter your experience of yourself. You're going to regain confidence and courage. So then the perseverance is going to be natural. I can't see you doing perseverance. I can't see that. I can't. Oh, this is what perseverance looks like. It looks like me doing all this stuff. Like, that's what are you doing? Oh, that's perseverance.
Usually for me, it looks like me sweating and crying and carrying on, and
now
getting
somebody
very
would label
honest
that
with myself.
but the outside person would describe you as another way, and then you're like, that's not what I am.
Right.
I'm not crying because I'm angry. I'm crying because I have perseverance, and I use my tears to drive me forward. Like, but it's an experience. I believe perseverance resilience, it's an experience. Like you said earlier, discipline, those are experiences that we have to be disciplined to experience discipline as an experience in life. That what I'm doing, I could say that I'm a disciplined person because I experienced it and look at what I've accomplished in life that shows you that I'm a disciplined person. My body would be whatever if I'm disciplined and going to the gym. My knowledge of my education would be disciplined because I'm studying. And you would see that and you would experience that from me.
Right. But I think almost, I mean, I want to talk about this for a second. We almost need to compartmentalize it a little bit because I don't remember what we were talking about, what episode this was, but I remember us talking about not comparing one circumstance to another. And I think that's really important when it comes to perseverance, because I think sometimes we can persevere something and we get a result that we really like. And sometimes we persevere and maybe the result isn't exactly what we like. And that if we don't go back to that beginning part of witnessing ourselves and having awareness and all of these things, then when we come up against that, we can easily go, well, I'm not going to persevere anymore because the last time I tried to persevere, it didn't work out the way that I wanted to. And so I think it can be challenging for us to say, I will speak for myself. So in general, I am a person who perseveres. I consider myself to be a very determined, and there's the word again, stubborn human being. And so I am like that. But there are situations where I've given up and I've been like, nope, I can't do it anymore. And so I really have had to compartmentalize it a little bit in my head and say that ultimately that's the goal for me, to be perseverance, to persevere. But sometimes I'm a human being.
You know, the other part of that, and I think you said it, for me, that's why it kind of triggered this other piece of this. Is it is also hard for us as people to keep an empowering context about our life.
Yeah.
So if I gotta persevere through something, then context that I create around my life that is hard, it's dangerous, it's difficult. You hear people will tell you how they look at life when they say, hey, so how's life for you? Life for me is fun, exciting, and dangerous. That's how I view. That's what life is for me. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's dangerous. And so, when does the dangerous show up? Anytime they want to.
See, and I couldn't use that. I could not in my life use that word, because I would be on such anxious, high alert all day long that it would be never ending. I would not be able to live my best life if I used the word dangerous. I may know that subconsciously. I mean, we all know that. We know that people get killed, people get kidnapped. All of these things that happen, bad things happen in the world. We all know that consciously. But it's like, if I use that as my descriptive word of life, oh my God, I would literally be on the Xanax all day long.
But imagine some people say life is fun, exciting, and hard, challenging. What is that
your
context?
Experience is going to be?
That's what I'm saying. We have to be able to self-examine ourselves and tell the truth and say, hey, you know what? Life for me, and people will tell you, how's life? Life is it's hard, man. It's challenging. So what is that?
Right.
Because that's probably where perseverance has to show up, because in this area of my life, in this context, life is hard. But when does life hard show up? For me, dangerous showed up in relationships. It showed up in work. And I was in the military. So being in the military wasn't dangerous for Farron. But you put Farron in a relationship, that's dangerous.
We got to work on who these people are that you're meeting.
You put Farron in, but I'm just saying, it's not the people, it's Farron. That's what I'm saying. It's not them, because I live in a context of life is dangerous. And I have no control when danger shows up. It could show up in this conversation right now. of us just having a great conversation. And
Well, I
then you
wasn't
say
going to
something,
tell you anything. I wasn't going to say it.
but you say something, and then oh, this is dangerous for me, and then now I'm going to be guarded, and I'm going to guard everything that you say. I'm going to defend everything you say because life is dangerous, and you just showed me that it's dangerous,
right?
And you don't even know that you showed me that.
Right.
You're just having a conversation with me. Like we're just
because
talking
it's whatever, because it's whatever meaning you put on. We had this conversation recently. Brittany will tell you in Soul Saturday Morning Coffee. We were talking about people. Brittany, what was the phrase that they were using in we were talking about in coffee, because we were talking about how people, it was something in regards to being in danger, like feeling victimized or so. I don't know. It was a certain phrase that was used, and we're like, are you really though? Like,
right.
Or is that like
exactly.
No. Like
exactly.
And I have to go back, in order to keep myself out of a place of judgment. I have to go back to asking myself that question: what must they have been through in order to get to that definition of what that means to them?
Exactly.
And I have to play that conversation in my head so many times, because you don't always get the opportunity to speak to the person about what okay, but you remember what I'm talking about, right, Brittany? She was there, but it was a specific phrase, but it was tied right into this, because it was like, I have to ask myself, what must they have been through to get to that point? Because there wasn't an opportunity to speak to them, because they just like cut me off completely.
Right.
So there's nothing I can do.
That's why learning and paying attention to how you react to life, then I can catch myself. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Well, let me ask some more questions. Why would you say it like that? Why did you use that word to describe that when we're talking about this context? But then you add another word because of what I said and what you heard and what you made it mean is two different things now. So then me in communication, I'm in the misunderstanding, I'm just as responsible for the misunderstanding as the other person. Because if it's a misunderstanding happening, then I can be like, well, then what did you hear me say? Let's stop. And what did you hear? And then allow that person to say what they heard. Okay, so guess what? That's not what I meant. So let me reframe what we're talking about, so that.
Or will you allow me to reframe it? Can I when I said that, like,
exactly. And that's communication.
Right.
That's communication. Right. But if in the aspect of the context of keeping an empowering context, then if it's not empowering, then I got to persevere. But I'm the one created the context. So I'm creating a context that's fun, exciting, and dangerous is my context for life.
Oh man.
And I have no control when my mind says this is dangerous. I have no control over that. All I can do is recognize it and take responsibility for it and own it.
That's it.
And make the correction. So do I really need to persevere? Right.
All right. I don't know how we got through it. That this show went by like,
I know,
super fast tonight. Super fast. We have one more week to talk about perseverance, and finishing up about perseverance and resilience next episode. Is there anything you'd like to leave with anybody about this topic this evening, Farron?
Yeah, it just goes back to the beginning of especially what you said at the heart of all of it is you've got to be willing. Before we get to this definition of perseverance, and before you get to the experience of perseverance, you got to be willing to look in your life and self-examine and figure out what's going on. Are you really doing what you want to do in life? Are you really up to what you want to be up to? Because a lot of times we're doing so much stuff out of survival mode that we're setting ourselves up for failure. And so the willingness to self-examine is important, and you got to reestablish your own self-love. You got to have your own self-love. And I know our parents and our environment, they don't do it on purpose. But we kill off our children, and we kill off each other's self-love. Yeah. And you have to have that level of self-love. If I love me, then I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to want to do anything bad to you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm not going to be offended by what you say to me. Because
Right.
like you said, then I'm going to be able to say, well, what was going on for you to have to say something like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What? Then that's a different conversation than me getting mad and being like, well, forget you then. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Whatever. Bye.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
That's so self-examination, self-love, but you gotta be willing. You gotta be, if you, all the stuff that we talk about from episode 1 till today, you gotta be willing to be communication. You gotta be willing to be accountable. You gotta be willing. If you're not willing, then you're gonna get the life that you got, and you gotta be okay with it.
I think we just lost some people out there. Miss Lynn's just joining us. I love you, Miss Lynn. I hope you will watch the replay. So good to see you this evening. I feel like we had a good conversation. What I will leave everybody with, I want to go to a comment that came in from Brittany because it ties into it. Even if you give up something in your life and take a different direction, isn't that still perseverance? Because truthfully, the human experience is perseverance. And one of the things that I want to say about that is, leaning into that last part there, is that if you feel like you're unable to persevere, to push through, to go to the next thing, this is your reminder that you have survived every moment up until this point in your life. You need to remind yourself of that because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget. I feel like perseverance is more than just enduring through, though. To choose to persevere is an act of courage, to show up every day and fight for your dreams when the odds are stacked against you, when the hits keep coming, when we choose to move away from the word resilience, because perseverance feels active, raw, and it feels human. It's about stepping forward even when the path is hard, even when you're unsure, and really just that you got to be willing. That's it. If you don't like things the way they are, you got to check your willingness.
To complete with what Brittany said, I just had this talk with my youngest daughter, and I told her that sometimes we got to look in our life because there are things that are incomplete. So how can I persevere and move on to the next thing and take it on if I'm still incomplete in my experience of myself and myself first? So how can I'm sweeping all this stuff under the rug and I can't bounce back to this task. So I'm gonna go take on this one over here that I haven't completed this over here because it's incomplete. So you've piled all these things on and the diminished experience of yourself. Like, man, you messed up again, Farron. Dang, why'd you pick that?
That's a whole other side road that you can take as well with this conversation. It's so important because if you can't move forward, why is it? Ask yourself why.
It's incomplete, and it takes courage to say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm okay with this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun anymore. I'm not whatever. I'm not getting any joy out of this or whatever. And I'm gonna close the book and let it go. But then I also got to be responsible for the consequences that comes with canceling or changing my mind. Because how many people are working with you now that are dependent on that project or that conversation, and now they've got to go and be okay with you saying we're gonna shut down. Are you gonna be responsible for the reactions of those people that say, what? Why are you quitting? Why are you shutting down? We got this. So to Brittany's point, that is self-examination. The incompletions live over here. They're not even out in the world and other people. They live over here where I'm at. So that I have to look at my life and tell the truth. Well, you know what? That project isn't complete and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And close it, complete it.
Right.
And move on to and pick something else. I believe I'm dealing with that right now just because in learning this creativity about myself and the reactions about myself and all the stuff that I've taken on in life, because my brain needs to have something to do all day long, like my military career, being in charge of soldiers and paperwork and making sure this is done. Like my brain is wired, literally wired for 24 years to be always doing a high up tempo, we call it. I gotta always be doing something, and I gotta have and no.
Multitasking is a lie, Farron.
And so when you say complete stuff, I gotta look at my life and see what's incomplete, because I might be doing something I don't want to do no more, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm complaining about
that's
it.
That's hard. Yeah. That's a challenging thing to face, especially like I've talked about this before. I'm such a nostalgic person. I want to hang on to everyone and everything, like because I think that to examine my own self for a minute, I think that comes from a place of gratitude for me. I truly am grateful, even if something's been hard, even if something's been painful, even if something's been not right for me. I recognize the importance of it in my life at that period of time. And so it is really challenging for me to let things and people and circumstances go sometimes. And so it adds another layer of challenge when we go, oh, I've been keeping myself here.
Yeah.
I've been doing it to myself. Damn. Oops.
And it's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad.
Yeah, that's it.
It goes back to the love for people. It goes back to we want to live our life and have fun and have exciting things and have joy and like. But where is it coming from? Sometimes we're so driven that you're not even enjoying it because you're so driven in that survival state of mind that you can't even experience the joy and the fun that comes with it.
Right.
Because I gotta be resilient, and and then it's like and then where's the fun in that? Of course, I'm not gonna want to bounce back from that. It's like forget it.
Yeah,
it's not fun anymore, and that's resilience. Because you can't bounce back because now it's not fun. Now it's you got to do the work.
If you don't have that awareness piece, you don't know whether to choose between resilience and perseverance. That's it. That's it. Is anybody there? Hello?
Yeah. So next episode, we'll definitely get into some of the joyous conversations of perseverance, because life is fun. Life should be. I don't like the should word, but life should be. It should be. It's what you make it.
Yeah.
It's what you make it. Yeah. And some people like to have a challenge in life. Some people enjoy challenges.
Can we?
That's
hello.
Okay.
Hello.
That's okay.
I mean, truly, and that's a big. Oh my God. We have to go. Listen, I see y'all's comments. I appreciate you so much. And
what they say.
Brittany was talking about if you feel like you're feeling incomplete, that you are still whole, and that's what we're talking about. Like it is within you, that you stop looking outside of yourself for a president, a government agency, a boss, a best friend, your grandma, your mentor. Stop looking for them to be perseverance for you. When are you going to be yourself? It's there. It's there, but that willingness has to be there for you too. You and I, and we can sit here all day and tell people you are whole. Everything that you need is inside you, but you have to be willing. You have to have that willingness and do that self-examination, because we could tell you, but that doesn't make you be. You gotta
be willing to experience what it feels like to be whole and complete.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you that feels great.
Yeah. Yeah. And Lynn was saying, having a handicapped child, I'm multitasking daily, but I think that you're really good at compartmentalizing, because I know Lynn personally, compartmentalizing well. You know that when you're taking care of Thomas, that other things have to wait. And you know, when you're doing those things, sometimes somebody else has to keep an eye on Thomas, you know. And so while we may call that multitasking, it's really not. You've learned how to compartmentalize really well, Lynn, and I just want to celebrate you for that before we leave today. Next episode in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about cultivating a community that perseveres. And I really am excited about that, because I feel like there's a way to look at perseverance from a leadership perspective, and how we can and again, I think we're going to be focusing a lot on looking for that within ourselves, but also how can we create an atmosphere for people to persevere, instead of, like we talked about, sometimes we accidentally bring people down, and it's not necessarily an intentional thing, but we have to create that space of self-love, and we'll talk about it in 2 weeks. It's going to be great and wonderful. Are you excited?
I might call in sick that day, though.
No.
I'm calling.
You're going to persevere and do it with me.
No, that topic is going to be good, because I did learn it's all in communication, because sometimes you have to find out what that person's natural interest is. You know, like a quick example, I was doing a health fair, and I had to have a booth, and of course I asked my friend, hey, can you help me on Saturday? I got this health fair. Can you help me be at the booth and set up the tables, blah blah. Well, they said, yeah, I'll help you. And then Saturday, they don't show up. But we didn't have a conversation to say, oh, I needed a ride, or there was some unresolved hidden agendas that they didn't communicate, so they didn't show up at all. Which is like, well, how come you didn't show up? Well, I needed a ride home. Well, you should have.
Yeah. I have no doubt that communication will be a big part of next episode as well. Listen, thank you guys all so much for joining us this evening, whether you're live or on the replay. We appreciate you. We hope you enjoy this shift from resilience to perseverance. Let us know if that resonates for you too, or if you like resilience better. I want to hear all sides of it. I want to know how you feel.
Find the one that gives you power. Use a dictionary, find the word that gives you power. Yes. And sometimes it might be resilience, and sometimes it might be perseverance. Sometimes it might just have patience. Be patient is the word that you need. Calm. Be calm in the midst of a circumstance. Imagine how that feels.
Patience. One episode we will not be covering in 2025. Okay, because I'll be absent. Come
on. After expectations. We do an expectation in the season, right?
We're gonna do a final episode of 2024. We're gonna do one episode about expectations, and then we're gonna break. Yeah, one episode about expectations.
What is that a 2-hour episode?
It might be a little bit longer. How are we
gonna do expectations in one time?
Because we're gonna cover it, but I think it's gonna tie into some of what we'll talk about in 2025 as well. Okay. So I think it'll be a great. It's a
rabbit hole. That should be our first example of the rabbit hole.
Yes, that's gonna be our rabbit hole. My daughter out here, I could use some. Well, honey, I know that because you're my child. Because I know where the apple doesn't fall far. Okay,
see that right there. See. Children,
I could use some patience. You said, but it's because I know who else could use some patience. Hello.
For real.
All right, guys. I'm Jessica Dugas. This is
Farron Dozier, retired Army Sergeant First Class.
And we will see you next time for a new episode of Beyond 2D. Much love, everybody. Good night.
It's out.